and the New York Conversation.
Marketplace is supported by Progressive. Progressive Commercial Insurance offers personalized rates and customizable coverages for your business vehicles. More at progressivecommercial.com.
Just because it does bear repeating, the economy does not stop when headlines turn elsewhere, you know. Also, and completely unrelated, we're going to talk a little television on the program today from American Public Media. This is Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by Solidigm, offering solid-state storage solutions optimized for AI with higher capacities, greater speed, and energy efficiency. Solidigm, AI data infrastructure built on a solid foundation. Learn more at storageforai.com. And by Odoo.com, offering integrated programs for sales, customer relationship management, inventory, and other business operations, designed to work together as a customizable software suite. Odoo, all your business on one platform. And by Bison Managed 401k, a service where advisors actively manage 401k accounts to help individuals meet retirement goals. The Bison Calculator is available at powermy401k.com.
In Los Angeles, I'm Khan Rizdal. It is Wednesday today. This one is the 4th of March. Good as always to have you along, everybody. There are some things happening in this economy, ours and globally, that make good sense. Oil, for instance, spiking. We all know why. Gold, though off its highs right after the war started, still up a lot. The U.S. dollar since Saturday morning, very much in demand, which means it's been strengthening relative to other currencies. All of the above are par for the course when geopolitics goes haywire. Where things are getting strange, though, where that flight to safety paradigm that we are so very used to seems to be breaking down, is in the market for U.S. Treasuries, the safest of safe havens. You would expect investors to want more of them, just like they want more dollars. But no. Marketplace's Justin Ho is on the what the heck is going on here desk for us today.
When investors want to pile into the safety of the U.S. dollar, they have plenty of options.
You could find a money market fund that's a relatively safe place to go to.
Brendan McKenna with Wells Fargo says investors could also park their money in corporate bonds, which you need dollars to buy. Same with mortgage-backed securities.
You could park it in just a savings account, right? And you're relatively safe there.
Investors have been considering these options because they're not exactly thrilled about investing in U.S. Treasuries right now. Sebastian Mallaby, senior fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, says between the president's tariffs, his attacks on Federal Reserve independence, his intervention in Venezuela, and now Iran,
you just have this series of ad hoc policies that undermine the idea that there's a stable hand guiding the system. And when you don't believe that anymore, you're not going to want to hold U.S. government debt because you don't trust the U.S. government.
But Mallaby says investing in Europe or Asia is looking risky too, especially since the war is making energy more expensive.
Both the East Asian economies and Europe are big energy importers. So a spike in the cost of energy is very, very bad for them.
Compared to that, the U.S. economy looks relatively more stable. Christopher Vecchio, head of futures and FX with the research company Tasty Live, says investors are basically just sitting on their dollars.
If you are someone who, for example, is in Europe, and this really is more of a question for foreign investors and traders, I may sell out of my U.S. treasuries, and instead of converting the money back into euros, I could just keep them in U.S. dollars.
Vecchio says no matter what investors think of U.S. treasuries, the dollar is always going to be in high demand because the global economy runs on dollars. I'm Justin Ho for Marketplace.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said today that those tariffs that President Trump announced after the Supreme Court ruling against him a couple of weeks ago, the 10% tariffs the president imposed, Bessent said today that could go up to 15% as soon as this week. One hesitates to presume the Secretary of the Treasury isn't aware of this, but that tariff bump would be feeding into an economy already dealing with the inflationary pressures that war brings. And we're going to talk about that and some other stuff with Heather Long. She's the chief economist at Navy Federal Credit Union, also comes by on Fridays from time to time. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Kai.
What is your inflation spidey sense, if you will, telling you right now?
Well, it's certainly going to be going up. The question is how much. I certainly noticed the gas prices on my drive into work this morning already up about 20 cents, and we're all wondering what's next. And you just mentioned these tariffs that are now going to be hiked, but presumably at the end of the week to 15%, and a lot of the confusion that's going on around the world about whether there will be some exclusions for Europe or UK or Australia, or are these still our friends or not? But look, the general sentiment here is there was already a lot of anxiety from American consumers about high prices, and March is certainly not going to help.
So let's talk transmission mechanisms. Oil and gas you mentioned, and we can see that. We are seeing that at the pump. Eventually, all of that's going to show up in the cost of goods, right? Not just at the pump.
That's right. I mean, we forget sometimes how much those oil prices flow through the entire economy, an economy where we transport goods across the country, whether it's food products or whether it's cars. And so that's why when you really start to see oil prices get up, I would say the trigger dollar amount that I'm really watching is, do we get to $90? Do we get into the $90 again? Because that translates to $4 gas. And that's when you really start to see that psychological shift for both consumers and businesses to thinking that this is a higher inflation regime that we're going back to.
Not for nothing, but we're over 80 on Brent. I mean, it's not far away.
Exactly. So we're not there yet. And, I think that's why you've seen this very muted market reaction so far. Right. But the $1 million trillion question is, how long does this last?
Well, let's go there for a minute. And I'm not going to ask you how long this is going to last, but I need an expert, and you're the expert in this conversation, to talk to me about the cascading effects the longer it does last. I mean, the president is talking about 4 to 6 weeks,
And that's, I hate to use the word manageable, but every single analyst note in my inbox right now says that if it's 4 to 6 weeks, it's a manageable hit to the U.S. economy. It's probably a different calculation for Europe and Asia. But the question, I think, that begins to transition when we get to something like $90 oil is you get these feelings that we're back to that dreaded summer of 2022 when inflation really spiked. That's the last time we really saw gas and oil in that $100 and a barrel mark. And so that's, I think, what you're really worried about, whether you're the Federal Reserve or whether you're a corporation trying to assess this, is if we get to a place where companies and consumers really start to change their assessment of what they think the next several months are going to be. Right. It's not happening yet.
Right. Last thing, and then I'll let you get back to work. The phrase supply shock is being bandied about because it's not just oil and gas, and it's not just the Strait of Hormuz. Insurance for shipping is going up. There's general unease out there. That's a real worry, right? This idea of a supply shock now into this economy.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The flip side of that is that we had an oversupply, arguably, of oil and gas in the market coming into this, and that most other parts of the economy were pretty well supplied. So you're starting from a much better base than, say, what happened in 2022 when we were coming off a period where there still wasn't enough supply of cabinets or toasters or auto parts or whatever. But you're right. Again, if this is something that lasts for months, then you're back to 2022.
Heather Long at Navy Federal. Heather, thanks a lot. Always good to talk to you.
Thanks, Guy.
Let's us do the numbers. Dow Industrial's up 238 today, about 0.5%, 48,739. The Nasdaq improved 290 points, about 1 3/10%, finished at 22,807. The S&P 500 added 52 points, 0.8%, ended things at 68 and 69. Bond prices, thanks for asking, they fell. Yield on the 10-year Treasury up 4.10%. You're listening to Marketplace.
Marketplace Numbers is supported by Commvault, providing data resilience and recovery for large-scale enterprise environments. Commvault.com. Marketplace is supported by Viking, dedicated to bringing travelers closer to the destination. Viking offers a small ship experience with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com. And by Mercury, business banking and financial software to help entrepreneurs send money, create invoices, pay bills, and more. Mercury is not a bank. Learn more at Mercury.com. Mercury, radically different banking. And by GEP, at the forefront of agentic procurement orchestration and autonomous supply chains. With GEP Smart Software, GEP Key Agentic AI, and Strategy Consulting, GEP works to help business optimize value and reduce risk.
It's WNYC. It is our winter pledge drive here at WNYC. 888-376-9692 is the number to call. You can also go online to WNYC.org. Click on donate. This is a dire pledge drive because we are no longer operating with federal funding. That's a $3 million hole. We need your support now to make that up. We had a goal for the overall drive, which ends tomorrow, of 10,000 contributions to be able to say, hey, we're plugging that gap. We are below 900 now. We are doing well. We're really cooking with gas here, but we still need your support to be able to knock that down to zero by the end of the day tomorrow. So if you've been listening to the drive all week, don't worry. I'm not judging that you haven't given yet, but you got to give now. Call 888-376-9692 or go to WNYC.org.
So we were just listening to Marketplace, which is one of the many programs we bring to you that, we don't make at WNYC, but because we are an NPR partner station and we partner with other organizations like PRI and BBC, we bring you programming from all over the world, and that is only made possible because of you. We also invest in shows like this, American Life, the Moth Radio Story Hour. Where does WNYC come up with this money? The single largest source of funds comes from you. We need more of you to become members. Stand with WNYC. Start a monthly donation today. Keep programs like Morning Edition, All Things Considered, On the Media, This American Life, Reveal, all of them. Think of all of the programs you get from WNYC. It's only made possible because someone like you is donating to the station. Join with them. 888-376-9692 or give online at WNYC.org.
And if you give now, and actually this offer will expire at 7 o'clock, but if you give at any amount right now, before 7 p.m., we'll gift you a very cool WNYC beanie. Any amount, and we'll send that to you as our thanks for contributing to WNYC. It's a black winter cap. I'm actually wearing it right now. I can attest it's a very cool, very fashionable beanie. It has the WNYC, the red WNYC logo on it, so you can walk around town. Everyone will know that you're a supporter of this station. We should also say, too, that we have a new shirt in our lineup of WNYC swag. It's a green shirt. It's got a broadcast van on it. It's very cool. See a photo at WNYC.org. Contribute at a level of $15 a month. We'll happily send you that shirt. And because we are in that period of sending you that cap, if you do contribute at $15 a month, you get the shirt and we'll send you the beanie, too. So never a better time to contribute to WNYC during this pledge drive. 888-376-9692. You can contribute to the WNYC app as well. You can also contribute at WNYC.org.
And that shirt Sean is referencing is like an image of the actual WNYC broadcast van, I think from the 1920s. We've been around for over 100 years. For over 100 years, we have been holding people in this city to account, and now eventually, federal politicians, anybody. We ask fearless questions. We could only do that because of you. Keep WNYC healthy for another 100 years. Pay it forward. 888-376-9692 or give online at WNYC.org. In a time when many media organizations are under threat, we need the fearless reporting of WNYC now more than ever. 888-376-9692, and thanks.
This is Marketplace. I'm Kai Ryssdal. We're in the thick of Hollywood Awards season right now, movies and TV. And if you happen to have seen or read about the Actor Awards Sunday night, you know that in the world of television, The Pit won big. I wish we could say we could plan it this way, but we got lucky that the very next morning, we found ourselves on the Warner Brothers lot out in Burbank. I don't usually do this with Hollywood bigwigs.
Well, you're not doing it today with a Hollywood bigwig either.
That's R. Scott Gemmell. He created The Pit. He's also the showrunner and a writer and an executive producer of that show, along with Noah Wiley and John Wells. both of whom he worked with on ER way, way back in the day. If you're not watching, full disclosure, I am. The Pit is a medical drama on HBO Max. It happens in real time. Each episode is a single hour of a shift in the emergency room. New episodes drop on Thursdays, if you're looking for something to watch, by the way. Scott Gemmell and I sat down in the show's writer room. There's so much in here I want to talk about. Let's talk about that thing behind you, first of all. It looks for all the world like an architectural drawing, like actual plans for a hospital ER, except clearly it's for the show.
Yep.
And you've got, I guess, characters and people and places and all sorts of things on multicolored stickies up there.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
This is how we plan out our show. You know, we have to track everyone where they are. These are all patients. You can see they've all got tags on them. Also tell which episode they're in, so we can tell, you know, when they're coming, when they're going. All of us have these at home. We all have our maps. Yeah.
You like the
all the
EPs?
writers.
All the writers, okay.
Yeah, you can't write without the map, and then you have counters or players for all the actors, and we just move them around like Risk as you figure it out where they're going. Because our show is very kinetic, and and so in order to keep that going, you have to know the set very well, and you have to know that if I want to have Robbie and Dana have a conversation, you know, starting in room 20 that ends at the hub, I better make sure that dialogue covers that distance, you know, so you have to know.
Literally the time it takes to walk
Absolutely,
that distance.
yeah. So you'll see us down there, all the writers
on the
talking
set.
them to themselves,
Yeah.
you know, as they walk the set.
You've been in TV for a long time.
Yep.
You've done JAG and obviously ER and NCIS. What was it about doing this project that got you to come back to a thing that honestly you've mastered, kind of, right?
Yeah. Ironically enough, this came out of a conversation of why I would never do another medical show. And I listed a bunch of reasons and thought of one maybe that I would do. And then it just transformed into, you know, once sort of hit upon the real time aspect, changed everything. And what we wanted to do was we had the opportunity to create a new medical show from scratch. And so that was exciting because you were inheriting nothing other than I had Noah and John. That was it.
Did you know it was going to work?
No. I didn't bring any of my writers from my other shows with me. I didn't bring anyone with me because I was afraid it wasn't going to work. And I didn't want people to take on a job at my behest and then have it fail. Yeah. And we wrote the whole and shot the whole first season without any air date. So we didn't know when we were going to be on the air. We didn't know if people were going to like it. There was no feedback, really.
This is your first streaming thing, right?
It is my first streaming show.
What do you think?
I think it's fun.
Is it working out for you?
It works so far, so good. Yeah, no, it's fun. It's I just wrote a pilot for a network show, and it was one of the most difficult things I've done because I've been...
Like just now recently?
Yeah.
Sorry, aren't you busy enough?
Yeah, well, it was a favor. But it was so weird to be off. I've been off leash for a couple of years, so it was
better?
Yeah, I enjoy this. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's very fun.
About the show. Couple of things. Medical drama, sure, yes, that's the way you guys are doing it and thinking of it. For my money, for the program I work on, it's a workplace drama, right? Mm-hmm. These people are doing a job.
Yep, and we never go home with them.
Well, that's the thing I wanted to ask you about. You only see them in the workplace.
Yeah.
How come?
Because I think that's your experience when you're in the ER. You don't know what that doctor had for breakfast. You just show up and you hope to God he's going to save you, you know? And I think it made it much more realistic, much more immersive. You know, we really wanted to focus on the emergency department and not so much on the doctors, of course, but only in their work environment because that's where we see them.
Speaking of doctors, you have a lot of them.
I do.
On set, on staff?
Well, we have one on set every day, but we rotate them out. So we have 4 or 5 that rotate out because they're all working. So they have to, you know, do the real medicine when they're not doing our fake medicine. And then I have, this year we'll have 3 doctors in the writer's room. And that makes, you know, that makes it so authentic is because we're working with real doctors all the time. And we are also working with experts and other doctors, especially this time of year. We're just starting season 3. We talk to a lot of experts in the medical field about, you know, anything that's coming up.
Are you writing it or shooting it?
We're done shooting. And today, we have our first writers meeting today for season 3.
Do you still write?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the best part of the whole job.
I read somewhere that you sleep like 8 at night to 2 in the morning, and then you get up and write in the middle of the night. Is that true?
Yeah, I do a biphasic sleep cycle. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess it works.
It works, yeah. It happened during hiatus. I was not sleeping well, and I was getting really pissed off. And so I was like, if you're going to be up, you're going to work. And I actually got a lot of work done, went back to bed, woke up, started my day, had a whole day's worth of writing done.
I mean, you look pretty good.
I feel okay. I fall asleep driving here sometimes, but other than that, it's okay.
Thing. Whole different thing. Part of what makes this show work is the verisimilitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the medical stuff and the injuries, and you see it all, and you guys have done a great job with prostheses and all that jazz. But there's AI in season 2, and there's the Medicaid cuts in season 2. There was the measles outbreak, right, in season 1, which you guys were, I think, ahead of happening in actual real life. Clearly, you're thinking about real world stuff as you write this show,
right? Well, what happens when we talk to the experts, regardless of what field of medicine they're in, we talk to them about what scares them, what keeps them up at night. And then when we extrapolate where things were going, being in the head of the measles epidemic was not being overly prescient. It was just nobody's getting vaccinated. Eventually, this is going to hit a tipping point. And so I think we look at things like that, Medicare, Medicaid cuts. You cut people's Medicare and Medicaid, they're not going to have a primary care physician. When they do get sick, they're going to be really sick, and the only place they're going to go is the ER. So it's going to put even more strain on the system, which is going to be even harder on the nurses and the doctors. And so it's just about looking at the real world situations and then thinking about how they're going to play out.
I watched your Emmy speech from a year ago when you won Best Drama, and you made a point at the end of that speech of honoring and dedicating it to healthcare workers. You said, honor them, trust them, protect them, I think is what you said. Why?
Well, we wouldn't be here without them. I mean, I wouldn't be here without them. And, this sort of show is kind of a love letter, I think, to the healthcare workers for what they do. A lot of my friends are doctors and nurses, and I just think it's a wonderful profession, and we deserve to give them the credit they deserve.
Did it start that way, though? Because, I mean, you read about Noah Wyle and him actually going to Pittsburgh and going to medical centers there and people treating him, I mean, yes, he's a star, but treating him like an actual rock star, and going crazy over him. Was that the plan? Did that surprise you?
Yeah, that surprised me because I think our show was a slow build. We kind of came out of nowhere, and a lot of it was word of mouth, and a lot of it was word of mouth from the healthcare professionals. And if anyone embraced the show, that's who we wanted, because that's who it was sort of meant for and dedicated to. And if we can do well by them, then half our job is done.
Working on season 3 now.
Yep.
You're going to start writing. It's going to start shooting soon enough, I suppose.
June 11th, I think.
You going to ride this for a while?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was on my last show for 14 seasons.
Yeah.
For me, part of my job, I think a very important part of my job is to keep a show on the air as long as possible, to keep people employed for as long as they want to work. And so I stay with the job until they turn the lights out.
Talk to me about that ecosystem, right? Because this show now, and you and Wells and Noah Wyle are kind of economic engines. You're kind of economic drivers, right?
Yeah.
Of the whole infrastructure of the show.
Yeah.
You think about that?
Sometimes. I focus mostly on the storytelling. The other parts are gravy, If the storytelling's good and people are enjoying it, then everything else will fall into place, I think.
A word here about the business of this business, and you can dodge this one if you want to. The Paramount, Netflix, Warner Brothers goat rope, for want of a better word, has now been resolved. Are you? What's your worry factor of that, or are you just keeping your head down and doing your job?
I don't really worry about it. It'll change the business side of it, but it won't change what we do. Our job is to still tell stories that touch on the human condition and move people. And to me, it's kind of like I said the other day, it's kind of like a divorce. You know it's coming. You just hope you get through it and see what happens so you can move forward,
Scott Kimmel, thanks a lot.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Marketplace is supported by Wealth Enhancement, offering its Wealth Blueprint plan through advisors nationwide. It integrates retirement, investing, taxes, and more into one plan. Learn more at wealthenhancement.com/build. And by Odoo.com, offering integrated programs for sales, customer relationship management, inventory, and other business operations, designed to work together as a customizable software suite. Odoo, all your business on one platform.
This final note on the way out today, in which it's all over but the voting, I guess. The White House announced this afternoon it has formally sent Kevin Warsh's nomination to the Senate, both as a member of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve, that is a 14-year term, and as the new chairman thereof, that is a concurrent 4-year job. Two things of note about the above. Number one, at least one Republican member of the Senate Banking Committee has said he is a no on Warsh's nomination unless and until the Department of Justice drops its criminal investigation of the central bank and the incumbent chair. Speaking of whom, the incumbent chair, that is, this is thing number two. Jay Powell's term as chair is indeed up in May, but he's got another 2 years or so left on his 14-year stint on the board itself. And the parlor game among Fed watchers right now is whether or not he is going to stick around. Our media production team includes Brian Allison, John Folke, Montana Johnson, Drew Jostad, Gary O'Keefe, and Charlton Thorpe. Alex Simpson is the manager of media production. And I'm Kai Risdall. We will see you tomorrow, everybody. This is 8 p.m.
And you're listening on W.